Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. New media. And I told you at the beginning of the year in January that 2017 was going to be a problem for some of you, and I've already seen it. I've already seen certain writers and commenters and channels and stuff, and it's like, VH1, where are they now? Because all of the shit that they put out and said did not come true, and it didn't even come close to being true. It's like their credibility is completely shot and completely dead. Now, in the case, I gotta treat this like Maury Povich. In the case of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, I have always maintained the same thing. He's never in a dull fight, never in a boring fight. He's an exciting fighter. Offensively, he's the goods. I like what he does. I like some of his shifting. I like when he lets his hands go, his combination punching and whatnot. But in today's modern scope of boxing, a lot of you guys are brain dead zombies, and you can't think on your own too. You let somebody be a Geppetto and you're Pinocchio, you're a puppet, and they force feed you and brainwash you with how you should feel. Now, as you guys see on the screen, this is a video I did, new media, of Roman Chocolatito. The video's still up, I don't delete it, almost 10,000 views, and I did it September 12th, 2016, 191 days ago. I will try to link in the description. And I said Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez battle for pound #1 status after Carlos Cuadras fight, right? It's a tough fight. It was a tough fight. I told you guys that. And the biggest issue that I have is HBO, ESPN, both of them, they put Roman on this premature pedestal. Like ESPN is doing the best 25 in the last 25 years. And they put Roman Chocolatito and Gennady Golovkin on that list, the best 25 in the last 25. And now, fast forward to the future, just months after that article was printed, Roman Chocolatito lost, somewhat controversial. Some people thought he won. I thought Roman won the fight, but I'm going to get to that. And Golovkin, some people thought he should have lost. His first step up, his first big step up, real step up, with an able-bodied person with some attributes to rival what he does well and what he does good, like power, height, size advantage, good momentum, also a champion, stuff like that. A guy with title defenses with his title belt, unlike David Lemieux, whose first title defense was Golovkin, right? Who's shorter, things like that, who's more of a less of a boxer, who's been knocked out before, just like Jacobs, who lost to a guy like Hoshim Alcine. These are all facts. You guys can Google it, get your fact checkers, go on BoxRec, whatever you may be. But back to Roman Chocolatito. They're putting Golovkin, they were putting ESPN, Roman Chocolatito on this list ahead of actual people who are already etched in history, like the Terry Norrises and Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto, I don't know where the fuck Cotto's at, but he can retire and his legacy is already intact. He's already done legendary things and fought legendary people. Great resume, period. So me, I'm a speaker of the truth, and I find it disrespectful to prematurely put guys like that. Like, I think Errol Spence Jr. has a high ceiling. That's my dude. I really think, man down, right? I think he could beat Kell Brook, things like that. But I would never get on here and tell you guys right here and now he is the pound for pound #1 person, because he hasn't proven it. He hasn't fought the right competition. Kell Brook is definitely pushing the needle and a step in the right direction, but you never see that. You don't get this like you get with ESPN and HBO. You don't get that over here with new media, with Boxing Ego, with Ego as a brand, as a record label, as a staff, and as a motherfucking crew. You don't get that. And I really dig Errol Spence, but I'm not going to say he's #1 pound for pound, because he still is paving his way, just like Roman, just like Golovkin. And Roman Chocolatito, in this video, Carl Froch was given his pound for pound list. He had Andre Ward or Kovalev. He had Kovalev as 1, Chocolatito as 2, and then Ward as #3. And obviously Carl Froch has this grudge against Ward. Every time I hear an interview with Froch, he's kind of bad mouthing Ward. Ward beat him with one arm, one hand, or whatever. He had a fractured hand. So I mean, I don't expect him to be realistic in that sense, because he's actually fought one of the 3 people he has in his top 3, right? But I made the video, 107 likes, 45 dislikes. Again, some of you guys are puppets and you believe whatever you hear. Look at this man's face. And I talked to Paulie Malignaggi. I might even, if I feel like researching and finding the clip, I did a video in an interview and I asked him, is Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez pound for pound #1, right? And he's like, no, listen, he said, Roman, he's a good fighter. He's exciting to watch, but he said that's what people confuse excitement and entertainment value with pound for pound. He's like, Arturo Gatti, this is what Paulie Malignaggi was telling me. He said Arturo Gatti, he was excited as hell to watch, but he was never going to be the pound for pound #1 guy, or the cream of the crop, the top of the totem pole, right? And despite if Roman had the potential to do it or not, to me, he hadn't done it. And there's a lot of like apologists who, they got mad when I did videos like this. They got mad at me because of I was going against what HBO was promising and saying. Even guys like Floyd Mayweather, you know what I mean? I respect Floyd, but he was even saying, oh, Roman Chocolatito's pound for pound #1. Based on what? And see, that's the thing. I like Floyd. I think Floyd is the pound for pound #1 when he's fighting, right? But that doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that somebody says that I like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's wrong with boxing. A lot of people, I told you, 2017, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Concussion, you gotta tell the truth. And to me, now let's talk about this. I covered his last fight, right? I covered Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez versus Arroyo. That was on the Gennady Golovkin versus Dominic Wade fight. This was a guy on a long layoff, and Arroyo was giving Chocolatito some issue, and he was supposed to be easy work, and he drug him the distance, right? And needless to state, Chocolatito did not look marvelous. You know what I mean? He looked good, got the job done. I think he won the fight, but against his opposition, people probably expected more. Then he fights Carlos Cuadras, right? A champion. He's moving up in weight for that. But again, when you're in the small divisions, a move up could be 2 or 3 pounds. So that's cool and that's noble for a division champ. But just like Pacquiao's an 8 division champ because he started so low. And in those small divisions, you can move up from 112 to 115 and you're in another division. But when you get to the big boy divisions, it's not like that. You have to move from 147 to 154, from 154 up 6 pounds to 160, from 160 to 168, and that's a big difference. Like Golovkin, why is he not anxious to move up from 160 to 168? Because that's a different crop of fighters. There's different bigger guys that were going to be taller than you, and the James DeGales and the Badu Jack was there, and Gilberto Ramirez is like 6'2.5". It's a completely different division. But Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, in terms of body mass and stuff like that, he moved up 3 pounds and he looks about as big. He doesn't look like he's being dwarfed by Sor Rungvisai and Carlos Cuadras. He didn't look significantly smaller than those guys, right? Moved up 3. Carlos Cuadras, tough ass fight. Fight of the year, some people even said. And I thought, I was okay with Roman winning the fight, but I thought he faded, which was really weird because usually pound for pound guys like Floyd Mayweather, like Pacquiao was, right? They get better towards the end of the fight. If you watch Pacquiao versus Antonio Margarito, he's busting. By the end of the fight, Margarito's eye looks like shit. You know what I mean? He stopped Cotto in the 11th round, right? So known pound for pound #1 guys like Floyd Mayweather, Floyd almost stopped Cotto in the 12th round. Floyd was hurting Guerrero as the fight wore on, even with a hurt hand. In round 6, 7, one of those, he almost stopped Guerrero. You watch the Canelo fight. Canelo was getting dogged, and Mayweather started dog walking. And watch the 11th round when Canelo punches wildly into the ropes, and then Mayweather embarrasses him by looking out like, what the fuck was you hitting? What was you swinging at? You know what I mean? And he started like pot-shotting Canelo's life away, right? But it was weird to me that Chocolatito he seemed like he started off real fresh and good combination, and then against Carlos Carlos Cuadras, the champion, he faded, and this is how his face looked at the end of the fight, which is another thing Paulie Malignaggi also said. He's like, you can't be the pound for pound #1 guy with your eyes looking like that. I'm sorry. Like, that's what Paulie said it too, after I had already said it. And guys like Troy King, I've interviewed Troy King, said the same thing. Now, this is not a video to bash Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, because he's a good fighter. He seems like a cool dude. He actually follows me on Instagram. I don't know if he still does, but he was following me. He just liked something that I posted. But it's more towards the vehicle, the ESPNs of the world, the HBOs, who have a responsibility, and the fans, to be realistic. Now, as far as the last fight that I watched of Chocolatito, I was there live in New York. I flew out there, and it was against Sor Rungvisai. I thought Roman did enough to win the fight. However, I will say this. I will say that it is not out of the question based on the style of fight and the fate. Obviously, it was a headbutt that opened the cut, but sometimes judges look at stuff like that. They look at how you look bothered. I don't know if you're bothered by the blood or if you're bothered by his shots. To me, it looked like Sor Rungvisai got cracks and he can punch. You know what I mean? So I think it might have been a culmination of all those different things, and people score like that. Like, they see blood's leaking your eye and you get punched in the face. You can't really tell, are you hurt from that punch, or are you just bothered because blood's in your eye or something like that? And Roman seemed exceptionally bothered by the bleeding and the leaking, much like Pacquiao versus Eric Morales in the first fight when Pacquiao had that nasty cut, right? So to me, I had Chocolatito winning, just like I told you in the real deal breakdown, my post fight. I had Chocolatito winning. I've only watched it once, and it was live. I gave it to Chocolatito. I liked his combinations. I thought he showed tremendous, massive heart. But to me, it was not out of the question. It was still a close fight. It was not out of the question for Sor Rungvisai because of the style of fight, the fact that Chocolatito was looking like it. To me, it looked like Sor Rungvisai's punches had far more impact than Chocolatito's punches. Chocolatito looked good and impressive when he was doing a couple angles, but they looked a little bit half-hearted and a little bit, they didn't look as crisp as his fights were, like maybe a Brian Valoria or something like that when he was doing the angles. Maybe it was the blood, or he was frustrated from the headbutt. I don't know, but they didn't look quite as crisp. But I liked when he was letting his hand go, nice combinations, and he'll get you with 2 or 3 punches or whatnot. So it was a close fight, bottom line, the Sor Rungvisai fight. And I told you guys, like, guys like Rigondeaux would destroy Chocolatito. Troy King said the same thing. It's just because at the elite level, defense has to come into it. And to me, the problem I have, again, is the pound for pound. I understand, okay, you want Floyd Mayweather gone so bad that you're just going to handpick whoever and say he's the #1 pound for pound. You know what I mean? People are saying Golovkin and Chocolatito are the #1 and 2 people, and they're really running with that. But Terrence Crawford has a better resume. You know what I mean? Vasyl Lomachenko has a better resume. They fought people that a lot of people thought they couldn't beat. I really, in my heart of all hearts, no bullshit, I thought Gary Russell was going to beat Vasyl Lomachenko. I really did. I thought his speed and his power, and he's a southpaw, I thought that would trouble. Lomachenko's a southpaw too, but I thought that would trouble Lomachenko, and the lack of experience. And I was dead ass wrong. You know what I mean? Lomachenko versus Axeman. I picked Lomachenko, did a 7 reasons on it, but there were a lot of people saying Axeman was too strong. Inactivity or no inactivity, a lot of people were still picking him. You know what I mean? So he's defied the odds and beat fighters that a lot of people thought he couldn't beat. And he's been in there with guys like Salido. He lost that fight, but he's been in there with them. Crawford, same thing. Gamboa fight, people were picking Gamboa. Gamboa's undefeated Olympian. Now he's fighting Felix Diaz. You know what I mean? Victor Postal. I know people that were picking Postal. He was taller, rangier, also a good boxer. Knocking out Matisse. That was the performance that catapulted him to the Crawford fight. You know what I mean? And I mean, I've done research. I don't know every single soul in the lighter divisions, but you can even go to BoxRec and tell some of them aren't Gamboas or Victor Postals or Gary Russell Jr. You could tell by their record because they're non-champions and they have a 50-50 record. Like I told you, Chocolatito literally fought someone at this point, it's probably like a year and a half ago, and he had like 30 wins, 32 losses or something like that. Valentin Leon. Look it up. So the whole pound for pound, like I said, tell the truth. The Ward Kovalev, I told you that fight would determine who was the pound for pound #1 person, period. And Ward won it. That was controversial too. Some people had Kovalev winning, but to me that was more of a statement. And I mean, even if you look at Ward's body of work, he still fought as the underdog. And some of the people picked Chad Dawson at the time. People picked Edwin Rodriguez, even Carl Froch, Kessler, Saki Obika. You know what I mean? He's fought those type of fights. Even Sullivan Barrera, that was a good win. Who is Chocolatito fought and beat convincingly? If you really look at it, that would catapult him to pound for pound status. Carlos Cuadras. Some people even thought Cuadras won the fight. I'm okay with Chocolatito winning. Sor Rungvisai. He lost on paper, and some people thought Sor Rungvisai won. Some people thought Chocolatito won, right? Arroyo, he didn't look great in that fight. Estrada, he never gave him a rematch, right? Never gave him a rematch, and he was in a tough fight, and some people thought Estrada should have won that fight. So, you know what I mean? When I'm thinking of pound for pound, you don't really see this. You don't see this frequently, with this level of frequency. When Pacquiao was the #1 pound for pound person, most of the time his face wasn't looking like this post-fight, right? And if it was, he probably fought someone much bigger, like a Margarito or somebody, right? And Floyd never really looks like that. I mean, Maidana busted his lip. He had like a fat lip or something. Look, Daniel Rodriguez. Chocolatito is the best #1. Fuck you. Again, based on what? Now, all of these people look crazy. Look crazy that you were putting him. Chocolatito is #1. Bro, sorry to tell you, but you don't know anything about boxing. Do something else. See? Angry. Roman #1. Golovkin #2. Terrence Crawford 3. Kovalev 1. Milton Brown. So, who was telling the truth all along? How is the pound for pound? Even though, again, I gave Chocolatito the Sor Rungvisai fight, right? But the point is, you shouldn't be fighting a guy like Sor Rungvisai, who is a tough fighter. I told you remind me of Takashi Miura and a bit of Orlando Salido-ish. But you shouldn't fight a guy like that whose biggest name on his resume is Carlos Cuadras and be looking crazy at the end of the fight and then losing, or even in a close fight. Like, can you imagine Floyd Mayweather, since he's been pound for pound #1, fighting somebody like a Sor Rungvisai, who has one name that they lost to on their resume, and losing? You know what I mean? Even the Maidana, the first fight was competitive. It was close. Like, I thought Floyd clearly won, but Maidana has a great resume. People sleep on it. Maidana had been in there with Amir Khan. He'd been in there with Devin Alexander. He'd been in there with Eric Morales, Jesus Soto Caras, Josecito Lopez. He had just knocked out Adrian Broner. Maidana's resume is deep. You know what I mean? Plus, he's naturally bigger, much bigger than Floyd Mayweather, and he's awkward as hell with. He has them Argentinian like chopping punches and stuff like that. Wow, 5 division, even though it's 4. See, a lot of y'all don't know shit. Mean Machine Rabbit. A lot of y'all don't even know what the fuck y'all talking about. Wow, 5 weight division, and you still taking weight props. How much bigger than Roman was he? Unbelievable fucking idiot. Right? See? Chocolatito is pound for pound #1. So again, if he, this is the thing. I'm the bad guy because I make a video exposing my true feelings and telling you, you funny monkey. I can only laugh at this shit. You contradicting yourself. Stop putting HBO in it. Gonzalez won the fight #1, moving up 4 weight classes. You don't know boxing. You're ignorant to the topic. Go talk basketball or football. The quality of opponents in their prime. De La Hoya was washed up. What? Pacquiao beat other guys other than De La Hoya. You know what I'm saying? These are the comments. These are the comments I have to deal with. So like Roy Jones said, I didn't want to have to do this, but y'all made me. Y'all must have forgot. So now we're revisiting it. Give the guy a break. He's 4-time champ. Yeah, but again, how am I supposed to give someone the break and they're being billed as the pound for pound, and I don't see it? You know what I'm saying? If I seen the pound for pound, I even told you guys. To me, Golovkin style-wise is harder to beat than Chocolatito, right? Because up until Danny Jacobs, nobody even really gave Golovkin a tough fight. He was blowing through everybody, even though I don't think his resume was great, but he was still demolishing those guys. You know what I mean? Minus 2 rounds for Kell Brook, right? Chocolatito, again, the Royo, he didn't look great. Estrada, some people thought he lost. Quadras, some people thought he lost. And then he actually ended up losing to Sor Rungvisai. And again, a lot of these YouTube channels and writers, they wanted to argue with me and say, no, he's #1. Do you know moving up 3 pounds in the lower weight division is like moving up 13 pounds? Of course, no, you're ignorant. See? You're an idiot. Roman is not running. He's pushing the fight. It's different. You're a casual. Stop doing videos. I'm a casual. But you think Roman Chocolatito is? Again, all these YouTube channels and writers saying Chocolatito is #1. Why is the #1 even in a competitive fight to the end? You're not going to be able to. Not every fight is going to be easy work per se, but again, I can't think of #1 people like even Ward Kovalev. That's controversial, but look who Kovalev is. Ward, that he moved up from 168, or he had the Paul Smith fight in between, but he had long layoffs of inactivity, and he fought Kovalev in a new division at 175, so he was new to that weight division. Some people say, oh, but he fought light heavyweight as an Olympic. Yeah, but then most of his career he was at 168 or even 160, I think, in the Darnell Boone fight. I know my shit. So he moved up and he fought the biggest, baddest man, the most complete puncher at light heavyweight. That's been proven. Arthur Beterbiev is a beast. Adonis Stevenson's a beast, but Adonis Stevenson hasn't really fought. You know what I mean? Tom Carpentees and guys like that. Of course he's going to blow them out. Like, since Chad Dawson, he hasn't really fought and beat like a real, you know what I mean? But he beat from Farah, Tavoris Cloud, and a couple people, Sakio Bika or something, but that's about it. You know what I mean? He hasn't beat like a Kovalev or Beterbiev or, you know what I mean? Somebody that's just looking like they're really the one to beat. And Ward in his 3rd fight fought Kovalev. So I do think that's different because Sor Rungvisai, again, his best name on his resume was Carlos Quadras, who he lost to. Yeah, he hurt Quadras. See, I do my research. He hurt Quadras, I believe, in the final round of their fight, but he still lost the fight. You know what I mean? Sergio Martinez was hurt in the last round of Chavez Jr., but he clearly won the fight. You know what I mean? And Quadras won the fight despite being hurt. And Carlos Quadras even warned Chocolatito, like, this guy can punch, I'm trying to tell you. So, again, Ward losing to Kovalev, even if you had him losing or whatever, Ward winning to Kovalev. Kovalev is a known commodity at light heavyweight. He had the belt, he had multiple belts. He had beat Bernard Hopkins. He had knocked out Jean Pascal twice in his backyard. He knocked out Nathan Cleverly in his backyard. So again, having tough fights with Carlos Quadras, and also, and I don't even think Carlos Quadras looked great. He was on the undercard of Golovkin Jacobs too. I don't even think he looked great in this fight, in his fight that he just had. And then Sor Rungvisai, I can't put them up there with the Kovalev. You know what I mean? So Ward having a tough fight in his new division, 3rd fight in a new division against a decorated guy like Kovalev, to me is not the same. If Roman was black, not only would he be considered the #1 pound for pound in new media demographic, Ego would be making videos of Inouye, claiming that Inouye isn't popular enough business-wise. See? Making up shit. Y'all make up shit and get 5 likes. I never said anything about that. And what are you talking about if Roman was black? Roman probably darker than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of y'all say stupid shit. Real stupid. So, again, I had to revisit this topic. You guys can keep believing what HBO tries to spoon feed you. You know what I mean? And the truth always comes out. Like Donaire. I'm from the Bay Area, so I love Donaire. Met him, great dude. But I mean, bottom line is, when he stepped up with Rigondeaux, we've seen what happened. But let HBO tell it. Donaire is invincible. You know what I mean? So you guys can keep going with who HBO and ESPN are putting on the platter and promoting and saying is the #1. Again, Chocolatito does have skills. He could scrap. He shows heart. He definitely shows heart, because he would have got stopped in his last 2 fights if he didn't have heart. So I give him credit. I give credit where credit's due. But as I said before, I do not think he, at the point when he was being praised, was #1 pound for pound. And I definitely don't think that now. Again, even if I had him winning, which I did, the Sor Rungvisai, even if he won, let's say, oh, it's a robbery and they got it right. That's not a pound for pound #1 performance. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not. You show heart, but it's not. The Quadras, that's not really a pound for pound #1 performance, right? So it's just funny because now all of a sudden, because people didn't want to tell the truth, they don't want to tell the truth. Now they're changing their pound for pound list and putting Ward on it. You know what I mean? People are like, oh, okay, Ward's #1 pound for pound. Your pound for pound, if someone's really and truly pound for pound, it usually doesn't change frequently because they beat everybody, just like Floyd, right? Or they beat most people for a while. Chocolatito just got the belt and lost it his first title defense against a guy who beat the guy. He lost to the guy he beat for the belt, beat Carlos Quadras, beat Sor Rungvisai, and then that's how you know triangle theories don't work in boxing. So hope you guys are happy. HBO, ESPN, you guys said Chocolatito was the #1 pound for pound person, and then he lost. And then now on top of that, he's demanding a rematch. But what about the Estrada rematch? What about the rematch with Quadras, right? What about just the Inui fight? But now, since you're the bigger star, you want to push for an immediate rematch. You know what I mean? Just, it's a lot that goes on in boxing. But you guys let me know, is Chocolatito still pound for pound? Even though his face looks horrible, like a horror movie mask in his last 2 fights. I don't see it. I think he needs to work on his defense and elements of his game. The moving up 4 divisions is great, but at the same time, it's also about who you beat. Just like Golovkin, I told you, to me, it is no mystery that Daniel Jacobs, the first guy he thought he fought with like a real pulse, a true middleweight with true middleweight power, with good size, with a good frame, with a good amateur background, Golden Gloves winner. He's been different places. He's fought guys like Sean Porter in the amateurs. He's a commentator, so he's eloquent. It's no surprise that he gave him the toughest fight because you look at his pedigree. A guy who beat cancer. He was tough enough and man enough to fight for his life and his family. And he already got knocked out before, so he learned how it felt to lose and get upset, and he learned whatever, and I think it made him mentally stronger and stuff like that. So it's no surprise to me that Golovkin wasn't able to knock him out like the previous 23 people, because it's all about the quality of opposition. And for those of you guys that get mad, facts are facts. Abel Sanchez said it. I was at the press conference. He said it. He says, oh yeah, you didn't get him knocked out because the quality of opposition is getting better. Exactly what I've been telling you. You're not going to knock out everybody at the elite level. Once the opposition gets better, people could take a punch better. People could get hurt and learn how to survive. You know what I mean? It's just different. People are craftier. Andre Dirrell was badly hurt by James DeGale. Took him the distance. Mayweather was on Queer Street versus Shane Mosley. Got hurt twice in round 2. And then he went on to beat Mosley's ass every single round. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level when you fight the highest level. So Chocolatito moving up for weight classes, a lot of y'all are full of shit because you don't even know the people he fought. You know what I mean? Brian Valoria, who else? You know what I'm saying? Name 6 Chocolatito opponents. I can name 6 to 12 people that Mayweather fought. Same thing with Pacquiao and Cotto and Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. You know what I mean? And I could tell you who they were at that time, and you know what I mean? If they were a threat, like, oh, B-Hop, he beat Kelly Pavlik. Kelly Pavlik was this notorious puncher who was undefeated. You know what I'm saying? But the guys Chocolatito beat, a lot of him you guys haven't even seen or heard. Arroyo. But again, you guys could be puppets and let HBO brainwash you and force feed you and whatever Floyd Mayweather says or whoever else was saying that Chocolatito was #1. But in the end, who was right and who was wrong? Mr. I Told You So returns. Drop in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.